So I'm not talking about the Irby. I'm not talking about the Urban Mech, but the Urban Mech is kind of an interesting example because for its weight class as a light mech, as a light mech, it's got a decent weapon for Battletech. It's got an autocannon 10. It's got some bite, got some range. It's got good armor, again, for a light mech, but it's slow. It is slow, and there's certain mechs in the game which in each weight class have an average speed that they want to function at based on weapons, based on armor, based on mission profile. Now, there are some mechs that are jacked up higher than that. And then there's mechs that fall a little bit below. And mechs that fall a little bit below that speed threshold, okay, they can still keep up. You have to make sure you don't get hit with heat modifiers -1 to your movement because that's already chewing down tremendously. You don't want to be left behind. But they're manageable. But then there's some machines that are just slow for various reasons. And most of the time, what we see these reasons is that in that weight class, you're looking to do something beyond. You're looking to go beyond. As an example, the Urban Mech, for its weapons and weight and armor and speed, it's good for a light mech. You put that into the medium mech category, it's awful. Well, because you're not using all of the space. You've just upgraded to more space. So again, within every weight class. So the tactica is, if I'm sacrificing speed, then I'm gaining armor and weapons because I'm freeing up those mech lab internal slots. So how do we utilize these machines? How do we utilize them? Because Battletech is a game of positioning and movement. I mean, in an ideal world, I can face you, I can shoot you, you're not facing me, and you can't shoot me. If I can rinse and repeat that enough, with enough momentum, that's going to be a tremendous advantage. I've got a hit and all that type of stuff, but pushing that forward. So the first thing I ask myself, if I take a slower machine, what's the composition of the rest of my lance? Because yes, there are times we will break off. I mean, we looked at the Charger the other day using that as kind of an end run machine. I might lead ahead with a certain mech. I might do some interesting things with the Jenner, but generally speaking, a lance is a lance. I mean, this is like Wargaming 101. I want to stay together. I want to have my lanes of fire overlap, and I want to be able to support one another. So if you engage with my Thunderbolt in that lance, you're not engaging one-to-one. I've got my other mechs next to it that can turn, face, and fire. So if we have a slower mech, the fastest mech is going to be pulled down to the speed of the slower mech because we want to have that. Here's a great example. Playing Clans Jade Falcon, I made some miscalculations on my battle value, and we started the game. So we already agreed on the list. We made our selections. We come to the table. We're deploying. And I look and I realize I have an extra suit of elementals. And my other elementals were all potted up, so they're going to be holding on to the mechs going for the ride. So essentially, I had built a very, very fast-moving list with elementals riding for the elemental deployment. I had one group that was going to walk. And what do? Do I hold back the entire star for that? Like, I was going to say Lance, right? That Desgra. No. But I move out. So essentially, I wasted that battle value. That's the point. If you're jumping to Inner Sphere, if you're going to pay the points for these fast machines, and you're going to leverage the fastness to anchor them to an Irby or to anchor them to a slower type mech, that's inefficient. You're giving up tactica advantage that you paid battle value for. So what is the rest of the composition of your lance? The second aspect is, what kind of table are you playing on? If you're playing on one hex map, yes, speed always helps because I'm going to get up there and get rear armor and dance around you, but it's not as catastrophic for slower mechs on one hex map. 2 hex maps, okay, we could still do it. But when you jump higher than that, or if you jump to a traditional wargaming table, that's now where the scope is so big, speed becomes a very, very important factor. So we look at that. The other aspect is the flow of the game, the tempo, the pace, where if I'm slow, I can't chase you around on the table. And then we're going to kind of look at this focus, and then I'm going to turn it over to you guys. So based on the mission, based on what you're playing, it's like a matrix. Mission, what you're playing, and the terrain. Obviously, if we're on a desert hex map and there's a small oasis of light woods, that light woods, that real estate value just went up tremendously because I want that cover. I want to utilize that. So there's going to be key places that mechs are going to congregate. We're going to look to move. So those places on the map, modified by those points, that's where Irby's going to run to try and get in range. That's where he's going to move, because at some point you're going to move into my range of fire. You're going to move into my movement. So these slower mechs, it's really about definitely not trying to chase you down, because I'm never going to get there. It's about moving to points on the table, area denial, overlapping with the guns that they can utilize. Guessing, it is guesswork, although you can kind of cut down on the guesses. Where is my opponent going to be? That's where I'm going to park my overlapping fire. That's where I'm going to move with these slower type machines and maybe the lance as a whole if it's working as a group. Okay, turning it over to you guys. Slower mechs, significantly slower, because again, there's that midpoint for every weight class. You have some machines that are a little slower, but they can still keep up. You see it in the tech manuals. But the really, really slow mechs, those really, really slow mechs, what's the tactica in using them? And, like I have a buddy, if he's playing light class, he's effective mech warrior, no doubt. If he's playing light class mechs, if they don't have jump jets, he's like, you don't do it, because the whole point of light mechs are the jump jets. And he makes an argument for mediums too. I don't personally agree with that, but I can't argue, success is your proof. I can't argue with that from that perspective. But I can say that there are some players that will look at the qualifications of a mech and say just absolutely not. So are there some of you out there in Mech Warrior land who are like, look, for its weight class, light, medium, heavy, assault, if it's so slow, significantly slow, I never play it. I won't play it. The only exception I make is the urban mech, because look, for the lulls and the Irby, it's got to get done.